Welcome back to our study in Exodus. In this lesson, we're looking at the 5 compromises of Pharaoh. Here's an example of a compromise. A hunter in Alaska goes out hunting to obtain a fur to keep him warm. He meets a bear who's out hunting for a meal. They work out a compromise. The man got a fur coat, and the bear got a good meal. Romans 15:4. For whatever was written in earlier times was written for our instruction, that through perseverance in the encouragement of the Scriptures we might have hope. Why do we study the Old Testament Scriptures? Well, because they're for our learning. We can learn the things which God hates and will not tolerate in us. We learn those things that please God and are acceptable to Him. And we learn how to avoid the compromise of truth. In Exodus chapter 5, verse 2, Pharaoh says, "Who is the Lord that I should obey His voice and let Israel go? I do not know the Lord, and moreover, I will not let Israel go." Now remember, Pharaoh is a picture of Satan. What was Pharaoh's attitude? Well, it was not humble or submissive, but was proud and disobedient. He was the taskmaster who made their bondage severe. He always wanted to keep Israel in bondage. He never changed his mind, except in deception for a while. Satan's the same way with us in bondage to sin. He's an evil taskmaster. He wants us to remain enslaved to sin. He always wants to keep us and never changes his mind. He's full of deception, and we must not be fooled by him. We can learn a lot about the dangers of sin by studying Pharaoh. Compromise number 1. Keep them too busy to worship. You'll find this in Exodus chapter 5, verses 4 through 9. What is Pharaoh's response to the request of Moses? Double their burdens and work. Does Satan do that today? How many people do you know who are too busy for Sunday school, Bible study, or using their gifts for service? Too busy making a living. Hey, can God meet our needs if we serve Him? They're too busy raising a family. A family without God is a family headed for grief. Too busy in community activities. Without God, nothing of man's effort will amount to anything. Too busy in false religion. Worship is vain if it's based on the commandments of man. So how do we respond in the right way to this temptation? Acts 16:14, Lydia, while on a business trip, took time to listen and obey the gospel. Acts 8:27 and 28, the eunuch on his way home heard the gospel and obeyed then and there. We often need to reprioritize our time. See, we attend to those things that matter to us. There's no reason to be too busy for spiritual things. The second compromise was stay in the land. It's found in Exodus chapter 8, verse 25. Stay in the land. What does Egypt picture? A land of bondage to sin and slavery. Hey, Satan is happy to have you be religious in your sin so long as you are not related to Jesus Christ. People in the land do church work instead of Christ's work. People in the land do good things. Look at the Shriners, the Masons. It's a philosophy of the brotherhood of man. People who are in the land pay nominal allegiance, do things in their own way, in their own time, pay homage to heaven, and yet retain their sins. Don't be narrow, be broad-minded, don't change your life. You can't tell the difference between an average Christian and an average person of the world. What types of sacrifices do lost people make? Well, they do good things, might live a moral life, maybe even be better than some Christians, but they never obey the gospel. What should the Christian's response be? Well, what was the response of Israel? Verse 26, our sacrifice is an abomination to the Egyptians. They will stone us. See, the issue is the blood sacrifice of the lamb. Remember that the Nile River turned to blood, and it was repugnant to the Egyptians. This world hates the blood, but without the shedding of blood, there can be no remission for sins. The inner man must be changed first. Change the heart, and the mind will follow. The third compromise, don't go very far. Exodus chapter 8, verse 28. While Satan can't keep you in the land, he still wants to control you. Satan is not willing to give up his gain. People are profitable to him. Satan wants you to stay near, don't go all out, don't become fanatical, don't let your religion stand in the way of the world's invitation. Oh, certainly don't break with your old friends or habits. Do what's convenient, a word, by the way, which is not in heaven's dictionary. Don't grow up, or you might learn to avoid him. Never learn to teach. Be inconsistent. That way, Satan will keep your children because they don't have a godly example to follow. Well, you can give up some sins and keep others. Perform occasional church duty. Attend Sunday mornings, but don't pray, and certainly don't have devotions. Have constant struggles between your convictions and corruption. As a church, don't adopt the program of the world. Don't run your church based on banquets, contests, bake sales, car washes, etc., so that the world is unable to tell the difference between us and the Rotary Club. Well, which is a little ironic because my church holds its services in the Rotary Club. What should we do? Well, grow up in all aspects of him, according to Ephesians 4:15. The fourth compromise, let only the men go, found in Exodus chapter 10, verses 7 through 11. Now, why would Satan let the men go? Well, because he knew it would result in a half-hearted attempt to serve God. Men would always desire to return to the family. They would not be able to fully break away. Satan will compromise by allowing one family member to obey the truth as long as he, Satan, has control over the rest of the family, hoping that the true believer will eventually return. With the men gone, Pharaoh would have had control over the education of the children. Children all over the country are being brought up in an educational system that's contrary to the teachings of Christianity. As parents, what do you expect when your kids are taught that homosexuality is just an expression of love, and that their sexuality should be explored without limitations. Our answer must be Moses' answer, found in verse 9. Moses said, "We will go with our young and our old. We will go with our sons and daughters and with our flocks and herds, for we must hold a feast to the Lord." The fifth compromise, leave your flocks and herds behind. This is found in Exodus 10, verse 24. Satan wants to keep their possessions. Why? Well, Matthew 6:21 puts it this way: "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." You involve yourself where your money is. People receive a call for ministry, but can't let go of their possessions. Satan does not want you to convert your possessions. Do not dedicate them to God. Don't give sacrificially of your money. Hey, listen, it isn't yours anyways, it's God's. Don't dedicate your money to God. Give $1 or $2. Make sure you have money for boats, cars, and stuff. Never think about a less expensive home or a used car. Believers can't invest time and money in God's ministry if they're encumbered by debt and stuff. The vehicle can haul stuff and go everywhere, but it can't bring someone to church who doesn't have a ride. The house is fine for personal use, but it's never open to church youth because, they might break something. Or it's never open for a Bible study or a meal that brings the church closer together or provides an opportunity for evangelism. The recreational vehicle or fishing boat has to be used just on Sunday because it's their only day off. The rapture of the church will break the hearts of many. Christians do not want to be separated from their investments. They'll have to leave them behind. Their safe deposit boxes, their savings account, stocks, bonds, and real estate. This is what they've given their hearts and time to, and it causes them grief to leave them behind. What's that in your hand? A staff? Throw it down. What's in your portfolio? Open it up to God. Dedicate it to Him. Most of us accomplish nothing eternal during our lifetime. Our time, our resources, our life will be wasted if we're not doing something eternal. Our life will be one of frustration. Hey, don't miss our next lesson on the last plague. Thanks for watching.